Okay, so eat better and more exercise, right? Let's see, that applies to about 20, probably 320 million other Americans. So physical health appears fine. Portions of the results of the actual exam will be released on Tuesday, but then there is the psychological side. This angle of attack from the fascist left is more insidious and is motivated by one thing: the Democrat desire to remove President Trump from office. Joining me now from Malibu, California, board-certified psychiatrist, Dr. Carole Lieberman, MD. Doctor, I think you and I are both old enough to remember this similar attack on Ronald Reagan. They went to the mental stability of Ronald Reagan during his 8 years in office. They also, by the way, questioned the merits of George W. Bush's brain many times, even before he ran for president of the United States. Why is it, I'm going to ask you a political question before I ask you a doctor-type question. Why is it only Republican presidents are questioned about their mental state?
Well, I guess because Democrats are more, are trying harder to impeach them. Of course, we have had a number of presidents in the past, from Lincoln with depression to even Kennedy, even though they didn't say that he had mental problems per se, he had some physical problems, including back pain, which caused him to take a lot of anti-pain medication, and he was taking all kinds of other medication as well. So, I mean, there have been presidents before who have had different kinds of problems, but this is so clearly political. And as a psychiatrist, this bothers me tremendously, because the psychiatrist and other mental health professionals who wrote the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, are such hypocrites.
All right. Let me ask you let me set the stage for this first. Let me do my host job here first, because you're swerving into my job here. This quack is who you're talking about. This quack.
Yeah,
I'm calling her a quack by the name of Brandy X. Lee. She is a Yale professor and a clinical psychiatrist. She edited the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, basically saying that he's a danger to the world. She's either making a name for herself, or she's a political hack, or both. Either way, let's go to the ethics on this first. Either way, it's unethical what she's doing here, is it not?
Absolutely. There's a rule by the American Psychiatric Association called the Goldwater Rule that came from when Goldwater was running in 1964. And they did a survey that showed that a lot of mental health professionals thought that he was mentally unfit, and he lost. And so we're not supposed to talk about a public figure or anybody without actually having examined them. And needless to say, the mental health professionals who have contributed to this book about Trump have not personally examined him.
Right. Okay. So let's go to the Goldwater Rule. We have a little snippet of it. Section 7, American Psychiatric Association's Principles of Medical Ethics. It's unethical for psychiatrists to give a professional opinion about public figures that have not examined in person and from whom they have not obtained consent. So you have this Brandy X. Lee coming out here, leading the charge, making these accusations. And I heard her say that she believes the president has a neuropsychological impairment. He's a narcissist. She's trying to split hairs here, saying that what she's giving is not a diagnosis, but an opinion. It seems to me that she's got a razor out trying to split hairs on that one. You agree?
I mean, there's no way. They in the book, they call him a narcissist, a malignant narcissist, a sociopath, and also claim that he has dementia. These are all diagnoses. You know, you can't say that you're not diagnosing somebody if you use diagnoses. What they're doing, this group calls themselves Duty to Warn. And what they're trying to say is that it's not a diagnosis. It's just that they have an ethical obligation to warn the public if someone is violent or dangerous. Now, this comes from the Tarasov Rule, which was first developed in California in regard to someone who was violent, and the therapist did not warn the police or the person. So they developed this Tarasoff rule where you have a duty to warn. However, in no way have they proven, shown that, well, I mean, I guess they're trying to say that Trump is dangerous in a general sense in his decisions in regard to the country. But I mean, that's not what the Tarasoff rule is. It's physically violent, first of all. And the things that they are accusing him of, particularly this malignant narcissism, I mean, if that isn't ironic, they are a bunch of narcissists trying to get media attention and trying to impeach Trump. I mean, there's a political agenda here.
Okay. So the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, is telling her to shut up, essentially. And she says they're trying to muzzle her. Well, of course they're trying to shut her up, because she's making you and everybody else look bad here. So should the APA censure her? Should they decertify her? What should they do here, in your opinion?
Well, you know, for the sake of transparency, let me just say that I have, over the years, used public figures. I don't know that I've diagnosed them, but I have used public figures to illustrate certain issues, like, for example, relationship issues, you know, celebrities who divorce or whatever. So, but that's very different than, you know, saying all these things about a president, claiming that you're not. She's not only making therapists look bad and making patients distrust therapists, especially if they don't believe in their, you know, in the same politics, but it's also stigmatizing mental health. I mean, so all the people with any kind of mental health issue are bad. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Okay, so on the other side of the coin, I can see many positive traits from this president, from the 45th president of the United States, and you probably can observe them as well. I'll just point to one. He's very, and I'm not a doctor, of course, but he's very blunt. And, you know, in some respects, that's one of the reasons why he's in the White House, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People are sick of people being politically correct, being, you know, lying, actually, by sugarcoating things. I mean, yes, sometimes it does get him in trouble, as we have just recently seen, you know, with the S-hole nations. but there is a kind of the fact that he is unguarded in that sense, and I'm not in any way, you know, saying that's okay if he said it, but I'm just saying there is kind of I mean, he wasn't a politician. That's part of why people voted him in. I just want to say, you know, one of the unfortunate things is that there's kind of a perfect storm here, because the book just came out, Fire and Fury, inside the Trump White House at the same time as The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump is out. And, you know, this is a heyday for people who want to see him impeached.
Right. And that's exactly what these books are all about, by the way. They're laying a foundation. They're like ostensibly laying a foundation for invoking the 25th Amendment, which is never going to happen unless, of course, the Democrats take control of Congress. I've diagnosed President Obama for many years on this program as a pathological narcissist. I firmly believe that's what he is. After what I've seen, miles and miles of videotape and listening to him for many, many years, I just think he did a great job of concealing it. Of course, the mainstream media would never expose it. And by the way, where's this Brandy X. Lee to diagnose that one? Dr. Lieberman, thank you.